How important is sex in a relationship?
Sexual compatibility is more important than the act itself. If the pair of you are completely incompatible in terms of your desires, libido, kinks, etc., then it's not going to work out. If you're mostly similar, and are willing to communicate openly and properly with each other, then the relationship is far more likely to work.
I very much agree with this. Differences in sex drive and expectations between two people should be understood and openly discussed to create a foundation that can weather issues that inevitably will pop up over time. For my wife, sex is very important in our relationship. She wants to be desired and is a very physical person. I can tell a difference in her when this need is not being met. For me, sex is somewhat less important and I have a lower sex drive than her. What's more important for me is someone that I can be intimate with, but this doesn't necessarily need to be in terms of sex all the time. Because I know that my wife is going to want sex more often and values it a little higher than me, I try to make sure that we don't go too long without having it. I also openly communicate with her about how I am still very attracted to her and enjoy our sex whenever we have it, I just naturally have less of a drive for it than her. To compensate for that difference, I will try to use other ways of conveying intimacy to her, either verbally or through touch, so she is getting some consistent feedback in those areas. I'm not always great at this, but I try and she can see that. I disagree somewhat with some of the comments saying you must find someone with the same sex expectations as you. It's an important factor, but every couple is going to have a variance between their sexual desires drives expectations at some point if not constant. It's all about how open you are about it and what actions you take to address it.
I think it's important to have that intimate, physical bond with your partner. However, I believe that it also completely depends on who you're with.
I think that intimate bond is heaps important, but whether that's felt through sex or just body massages, back scratches, hand holding, etc., that's up to the individual's edit. Thank you to the kind strangers for deeming my comment worthy of an award.
Absolutely this. Some people can take it or leave it, others have high sex drive, some don't need sex at all. It all depends on who you're with and knowing them intimately.
And how old you are. Sex becomes less and less a part of your life as you age, for nearly everyone. Sure, it's still a part of your life. But you and your partner may like sex 1 to 3 times a day in your early 20s and 1 to 3 times a week in your 30s and so on.
But there is other intimacy than sex as well. You can have sex without being intimate, but also you can be intimate without having sex.
What about cuddling with your partner? I mean, it's physical.
To be honest, I was interested but afraid to click on this post. Everywhere I look, it's sex is everything, and sex is the barometer for the relationship, and you'll get divorced if you're not having regular sex. I'm sick of it and was thinking all the replies would be that. But this comforts me and makes me feel okay again. Thank you.
What's most important is that you're sexually compatible, like both have high sex drives or lower sex drives. If you're not, it may cause a lot of strain and compromising that will affect the relationship. Every relationship is different as to whether it's important or not. To me personally, it's not important. I would have a relationship even if sex was not involved, but a lot of people consider it a crucial part of the relationship.
For me, and I am sure a lot of others, sex is important. But it's not as much the sex itself, it's that sex usually comes from a feeling of desire, and I like to feel like I'm desired. At least growing up with abandonment issues. It definitely seems to fill a hole.
I couldn't have said that better. For the longest time I thought the sex drive of my GF was lower than mine and it was driving me nuts. Then I realized that I just thought we should do it more often because I thought a relationship involves fucking like bunnies wherever and whenever you can, because that's how you often see it in media and that's how many our friends are. Then I realized I don't even want to do it as often as I thought I would want. More often than not, I rather spend time with her cuddling on the couch or just doing stupid things and having fun. I was about to break up with her because she didn't want to have sex daily. That's what I thought I want, and thinking back, I'd like to punch myself because I was so stupid. Now, 6 years later, I'm more than satisfied when we're doing it once a week or sometimes twice. I don't know if anybody else has that problem, but don't let anyone pressure you, especially social media and other platforms like porn, into something you don't are and you don't want.
I know a lot of people who value intimacy in their relationship, some even don't stop talking about it. Personally, I am way too inexperienced to need that. I just want cuddles and love from a partner. That would matter to me most. I guess that makes me someone who values emotional intimacy over sexual?
After 10 years, our sex drives have gone up and down so many times. Pregnancy was a roller coaster because sometimes I'm turned off and sometimes she's feeling sick and sometimes she's so horny she's like a cat in heat. There is also the thing where if your wife wants it all the time it kind of lowers your drive and vice versa. Compatible sex drive is important, but woohoo can it swing around a lot.
The problem starts when one partner decides suddenly that they want to limit sex after the honeymoon. Went from sex easily 3 times a week while engaged, to me begging for sex once a month.
While the act itself might not be super important, the intimacy that goes along with it is very important. Also, the feeling of being desired is a very important aspect to a healthy relationship, and from things I have read, it's the #1 reason people cheat. If they aren't feeling desired by their partner, they will tend to look for that elsewhere. So the ignored partner might be swayed to cheat if someone else is providing them with that desire they aren't getting from their partner.
That's what I always tell my current GF of 8 years. She thinks I just want sex, but I just want to feel wanted. I don't want to initiate it every time. It gets old and after a while starts feel like it's just pity sex.
Yes. I cannot do without intimacy, but I can do without sex just fine. Physical touch is very important to me. It's one of my love languages, but they don't have to be sexy in nature, just intimate. Just being close and knowing that my partner has a desire to be with and around me is enough. The sex is a huge bonus though.
Definitely this. The intimacy and feelings are way more important than the sex itself. Bad sex is usually a symptom of something else wrong, especially if it started good. Not to blame anyone who was cheated on, but bad sex usually starts from a breakdown of communication or some other stress in the relationship in my experience.
I enjoy sex. But if something happened that prevented sex with my wife, I would still love her and be faithful. Our relationship is much more than just sex. But that is after 14 years of marriage, 3 kids, and some major events. We are in this journey together no matter what.
I love that. My parents have been together 30 years this year. And 2 kids. They sleep in separate bedrooms but still love each other very much. My mom snores, my dad has bad night terrors. He likes to go to bed early and read, and my mom liked to stay up late watching movies with us kids both living at home for a bit. As a 26-year-old, it's nice to see that love means a lot more than sex.
Yep, that's me right now. I'm it this for life.
This is very contextual. More important is both partners feel they have a mutual understanding and level of fulfillment from that aspect of the relationship.
It's important your sex drives are similar.
How do you deal with sex drives that are not similar? Edit just woke up to a destroyed inbox. Of course, my most popular comment is about my sex life.
And expectations, not just drives. The quality of the sex becomes a huge issue if they get bored or not satisfied, even if it's happening daily.
I took a girl out on a date once and I learned afterwards she was asexual, and I decided that I wouldn't really be happy with that kind of relationship. It was kinda sad really, but I was just being honest with myself more than anything. Edit, we're still good friends, so all is good.
As well as sexual preferences. There's nothing shameful about wanting to be dominated, or submissive, or wanting to do anal, etc. But if you're with someone who only wants vanilla, missionary sex, then you're probably going to be dissatisfied even if you're having vanilla, missionary sex nightly.
This. There is no golden rule of how much sex you need to have as a couple. If the amount you are having works for you guys, then it doesn't matter if that is traditionally a lot or a little.
Was in a fantastic relationship for a couple years. I'm a male. We'd have sex 5 to 6 times a week when we lived together. Then suddenly my life became hectic and stressful with career changes. My dad passed away, problems with my then 4-year-old, upcoming financial issues, some other things. Due to the incredible amount of stress I was under, my libido plummeted while hers was still high. We'd have sex maybe twice a week at one point. It frustrated her obviously, and she took her frustration out on me, which in turn just stressed me out even more and gave me anxiety to even try. Relationship didn't last much longer. Or that you can agree on solutions to the difference and the other stuff is strong enough to overcome this.
As important as the people in the relationship deem it to be. So that ranges from critically important and validly so to completely unimportant and validly so.
I so agree with this. My sex drive has been killed due to recent brain surgery and vaginismus. Sex hurts me right now, but I'm in physical and mental therapy. Sex is very important to my partner, but he knows it hurts. We do lots of oral and lots of kissing and cuddling. I constantly tell him he's handsome, I love him, I think he's sexy while I try to get my body to feel how my brain does. My brain wants sex but my body is still recovering and dealing with a vaginismus. We talk about it and he knows when I'm ready, we will do PEEV sex. We are working on it. While I believe sex is important if that's your thing, sex cannot be the only way you show want, desire, and intimacy. You have to allow your partner to not feel like having sex even when you want it. You have to be respectful of each other's needs and also communicate.
And validly so. Nice touch.
Also, sex is awesome, don't get me wrong, but a relationship can't be built on sex. You have to be able to do something other than have sex because you can't have sex 247,365. If you can't tell that person anything, or sit quietly in a room together for hours, or you can't make each other laugh or think, etc., it's not gonna work. That's a lot of what a relationship is. You have to be willing to be everything for your person.
Only good answer, it's whatever you want it to be or not be. It's whatever you and your other persons want it to be. 0 to 100. Communicate what you want, and find out what your other wants doesn't want, vastly different, and you may have some work to do together or may not be the right fit for each other. Similar, and it's probably less work to manage.
Thank you for acknowledging us low libido peeps and aces W.
This is the true answer to this question.
And it can range in the same relationship over time. Sometimes, it can be very important and other times, due to illness or stress, it might be mutually put on the back burner.